Okay, we're going to get started. So, good afternoon, everyone. This is Cindy Reed, community organizer with the East Flatbush Community Partnership. Those of you who attend this meeting often are used to Lamecca Holmes, the director. She's away today due to a loss in the family, and I'm sure she will appreciate any thoughts or prayers during this time. But that's why she's not here today. I'm going to try my best to fill her shoes, but those are some big shoes to fill. Anyway, with that said, we're going to get started. We often start out with our mission and vision. So the mission is the East Flatbush Community Partnership improves access and coordinates resource between residents and resource providers that support child and family well-being and the community's capacity to thrive. And our vision is equality, equal opportunities where every family succeeds. For the agenda today, we started out with the welcome remarks already. We'll share our updates as we always do. And our speakers today, we have the representative from the Community Service Preventative Services, part of JCCA. And we also have a representative from the NYC Commission on Human Rights. And then we always end with opening the space up for all of you to share updates and resources as well from the attending providers that's on. So now we're going to have updates.
We'll go to the next slide, Cindy.
Oh, sorry. Stuck.
Yes. I believe Diane will be discussing updates. If she would like.
Diane, are you here? Well, okay.
So, hi, I'm here. Awesome. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. You can take over now.
What am I doing?
I'll do it.
Yep.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kai Prayer. I am the community ambassador at East Flatbush Community Partnership. I'll start off by letting everybody know that we have a weekly newsletter and we would like everybody to be a part of it. Any events or flyers you could send to the email that's on the screen, readc@jccany.org. And I will also put in the chat our monthly meeting presenter form. Thank you. I would like to speak first about our community resident liaison. We already have some liaison, but of course we're looking for some more. Our liaison have been wonderful, and kudos to all of you. Apply today. Our requirements are to reside in one of our following zip codes: 11203, 11210, 11212, and 11226. You are to attend monthly virtual and in-person meetings. We are looking for a Creole or Spanish speaker. It's preferred, but it's not a requirement. It's okay. No education requirements, just a knowledge of your neighborhood and a willingness to make a difference. Thank you. Our virtual open door is every second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. It's a monthly virtual resource fair for East Flatbush residents to share information and access resources for families and communities to thrive. We also have raffle prizes that are also gifted to 3 winners, and it's also a very wonderful time. Thank you. And here we are at our general monthly meeting. It's every 4th Thursday of each month, and I'm happy to see everybody here today. Thank you. Shout out to our website. It looks beautiful. Everybody should go tune into it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edeline. I'm from the East Flatbush Community Partnership. So I will be discussing our past events. So on October 25th, the partnership, we hosted our 3rd annual breast health awareness event at the Pierre Toussaint Family Health Center. It was a successful event. We had our panelists that were, discussing about breast cancer, and also we had breast cancer survivors that, were just, giving their wealth of knowledge. And I could say it was a very successful event. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Month, so I feel like it was a great event where, everyone is able to discuss that there are survivors and, there are still individuals that's, going through it, but still staying strong. So that was a great event. Our next event that we had was our Heard at Home event, where we had our elected officials that were there discussing, conversations about, how to be civically engaged and to support our community. I could say this was a discussion that it was very informative. A lot of people, that looks for assistance and want help in the neighborhood, sometimes the issue is where, a lot of people don't come out. And it was an event where, a lot of people did come out and wanted to discuss about, the change they want to make in their community. So I feel like this event was, they were providing a lot of information. And yes, it was a great event. And I really appreciated the panelists that were discussing about the strategies to make, the community a better place. Last but not least, we had our older adults community appreciation. This event was really heartwarming. We did it for our, seniors within the community. We had Zumba class, dance party. We had a nutrition cooking workshop. We just had different activities, to keep them going. And I do feel like the older adults is one of the most vulnerable group that doesn't get, a lot of attention, and they do play a bigger mark in our lives. So this event was really great. They were happy, and I lived up to listening to their wisdom, and I just feel like this was a great way to honor our seniors in the community. And now, thank you. I'll be passing the upcoming events. Diane, if you would like to discuss the upcoming events that we have coming up.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Diane Smith, Community Ambassador with the East Flatbush Community Partnership. Our upcoming events are this Saturday, November 18th, from 2 to 4. We'll be having another one of our very successful Heard at Home community conversations. And we would encourage you all to come out and check it out. If you haven't been to one, try this one. If you have been, then you know how good they are. It's happening at 3807-3809 Church Avenue here in Brooklyn. That's between 38th Street and 39th Street on Church Avenue. I know that the discussion will be about the people's money. There's been a lot of talk about the people's money. I think this is the last date that the people can have an opportunity to give some input on how they feel the people's money should be spent. And this is an opportunity that's being afforded to us by the city of New York. So please, if you can't make it, please tell somebody else about it. Each one teach one. Okay. And then on December 2nd, we're going into the holiday season. We're going to be having our gingerbread party. And this is an opportunity for community members, whole families, to come together to build gingerbread houses. It's join us at the Brooklyn Public Library on the Rugby branch. That's at 1000 Utica Avenue. And this is happening on Saturday, December 2nd, from 11 to 2. So food and music, and there's going to be a family photo booth and much more. Because we like to do it up for the holidays. So we hope you all will come out and celebrate the holidays with us on December 2nd. And if you haven't put your information in the chat, we ask that you please do that with your name, your email address, and whether or not you're a resident. If you're a resident, put that you're a resident. If you're a service provider, share that you're a service provider and give us the name of your organization. And let us know who's here, okay? Thank you again all for coming. Should I do this? Should I present the presenters?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. We have two presenters for today. The next presenter will be Kim Mayo. She's the Assistant Vice President of Community Services with the Preventive Services Programs.
Can we see if-
Hello? Kim
Sorry.
Mayo, are you here?
Yeah, she had trouble joining. Do anyone see her in the participant list?
Search now. No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not seeing her right now. Edwin, could you email her? I know she was having issues joining.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Do we see our other presenter? Yes, she's here. So I'm gonna move to the next one, okay, Diane? Hold on.
Okay,
Something's going on. Oh, there she goes.
okay, a shift in the program. Francisca Leopold, the Associate Human Specialist for New York City Commission on Human Rights. Ms. Leopold, the mic is
I
yours.
am here. Okay.
Okay,
Miss Francisca, just to let you know that you can use the additional 15 minutes since our other speaker is not going to be joining us today.
Appreciate
One
it.
of the
Thank you
speakers.
so much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just saying hello to Tyron, my community partner. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francisca Leopold. I work with the New York City Commission on Human Rights as an associate human rights specialist. Outside of that, in the community, yes, I live in Flatbush. I live on Lefferts Avenue between Bedford and Rogers Avenue. I'm also the second vice chair at Community Board 9 and the chair for Health and Social Services at Community Board 9. And I am also the chair for the review board at Kings County Hospital. I'm here to present from Commission on Human Rights. I really don't want to be talking. I want us to have, some dialogue as to what's happening in your community, questions you may have for me when it comes to housing. So when it comes to my everyday work, I enjoy going out in the community. I attend resource fairs. I organize resource fairs. I've had in October a huge resource fair at Hillel Plaza, Flatbush Junction, and I usually go around and get to know and work with all the community-based organizations. So I go around and educate the communities as to what the rights are under the New York City law, regardless of the immigration status. So I give information when it comes to housing, employment, and public accommodation. And with that, we cover over 27 categories of discrimination. Um, One of the areas we look at source of income. We look at persons who are being refused housing when it comes to source of income, which is vouchers, if they're receiving any vouchers from the city. And that's a big one that persons do come to us complaining that, and a lot of persons, they don't know of our organization, they don't know of this agency. And when I do go out there and I talk to people and they say, wow, I didn't know this agency exists. And, I experienced this and I went to this place and I went to that place. And I asked for housing. And when I told them I had a voucher, they refused. So I don't want, because of the time limit, because usually it's a long presentation, it's an hour presentation, because we cover everything on the housing, everything on the employment. So I only deal with housing because I know a lot of us here know someone who knows someone, who's having issues when it comes to housing in the community. Persons are getting evicted and they don't know that. And I know that my friend Tyron here, he knows that if someone comes to you and said, hey, I need you to leave, I need the apartment, that you should not pack your Georgie bundle and move. They have to serve you with a letter of eviction. And you should not do that. And then you will go to the courts. In the time, you'll go to the courts. And also, we have housing court answers, which we work very closely with. So, whatever which is outside of our jurisdiction that we cannot deal with, we will refer you to any of the organizations who then would help you. We have persons who are coming and just one of the areas that we help when it comes to vouchers, we have someone who may go to Mr. Brown and say, hey, Mr. Brown, I hear that you have an apartment at 1808 Church Avenue. And Mr. Brown may say, hey, yes, it's available. When would you like to come to see it? And they say, Mr. Brown, I'm available tomorrow. I can come tomorrow. And then you meet with Mr. Brown and you're just elated because, hey, you're having so much issues. You're given a time limit to leave, to move from where you are. And then you are happy you're getting this apartment. And you sat down with Mr. Brown, you took a walkthrough and you love it. You said, hey, I'm going to take it. And then you sit at the table with Mr. Brown and Mr. Brown said, okay, so we're going to start this paperwork. This is what it is. This is what I require of you. I need X, Y, and Z from you. And then when you tell Mr. Brown, I have a voucher, Mr. Brown then will say to you, you know what, I have an appointment. I really forget that I had an appointment. So let's reschedule for next week. And what happened? You reschedule for next week, and then you're waiting for Mr. Brown to call you, and Mr. Brown would not call you the day that he scheduled to meet with you. Then you call Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown says, I am so sorry, but the apartment is not available. If you don't know, guess what? You go back to where you were, and then you start searching again. And you're going through the process over and over because you don't know what your rights are, and you don't know that you should move on and call Commission on Human Rights. But if you know, or you know somebody who knows, and you have a dialogue with that person say, hey, this sounds very fishy. You should call Commission on Human Rights. So when you do call us, then we will call Mr. Brown. So we have two persons who would call Mr. Brown. That one person will call Mr. Brown and ask Mr. Brown if that apartment is available. And he would say yes. So that person will go to see Mr. Brown and says, well, I have a voucher. Then we have somebody else who will go to Mr. Brown and said, okay, they are paying market rate. And if that person those two persons Mr. Brown have chosen, and then the first thing is that Mr. Brown will be caught, because if Mr. Brown would have said to this lady, I'm so sorry, the apartment is taken. You know, I didn't remember, but it happened after we check and we realized the apartment is taken. But then when we do call and he says available, so that's a big, big, big red flag right there. So then we continue. So hence this is not in your hand anymore. The person who was applying is not in your hand. It becomes our case. It becomes our investigation. So now we start working. We start working on Mr. Brown, and then we send out those two persons. So then we realize that the problem is that Mr. Brown is refusing to take your voucher, or taking this person's voucher, and he's breaking the New York City law. Because he and most, I know some of you would know that, and I'm picking on Tyrone because I know Tyrone been going out there and he's been doing the work and he's been helping people. They know the law, but because they think that you don't know the law, so they just take advantage and they do their own thing. So therefore, we start investigating, and if Mr. Brown do have apartment buildings elsewhere, we'll start expanding the investigation. And we ask person to say, hey, when you are seeking for an apartment, make sure you have the name of the person, the date that you went, the address, telephone number, and everything. Because most persons, when they come to us and they want to file a claim, say, you know what, they didn't take my thing out because I have children. Because sometimes they refuse to rent to you because you have children. They refuse to rent to you because you're a police officer. They refuse to rent to you because you're an attorney. Based on, and that is on fall under employment, right? Because they know you know the law. So certain, because of your job, they will not rent to you. Because you have children, because of your nationality, because of your immigration status. You understand? All of that comes to play. And then when we do the investigation, it boils down that if you are still without an apartment and Mr. Brown have other buildings, Mr. Brown then will have to give you an apartment in any one of the other buildings that he have. If that particular one is not available, Mr. Brown will then have to provide you with an apartment. And because of the stress and everything that Mr. Brown would have put you through, Mr. Brown then would have to pay you some money. So we have a lot of cases that we have on our website where some persons would have received $10,000, $15,000, $11,000, just because for the stress that they went through. And then also Mr. Brown will have to pay a civil penalty because he broke the New York City law. And then he will come to us to do a training. So if he have 20 employees, how many employees that he have, all of them have to come to us to do to do human rights law when it comes to discrimination in housing. We also have persons because they've been living in the place for over 30 years, you know, and places the building is being converted into condos, and they are the persons who have the first priority to acquire those buildings. And because those apartments they don't know, and persons go up to them, the landlord or whoever would go up to them and say, hey, you know what, we need the apartment, we will have to do changes, we are renovating, we would like you to live, whatever it is, or we are selling, whatever it is, we're going to give you $30,000 and help you move. And person jump up to that, and it is against the it is totally against the law. Before COVID, this was happening a lot, and the DA at that time, our present mayor, he sent out a notification in the community letting persons know, if you have been in your apartment for 30 years and they ask you to move, please don't move, you know. And then so we have persons, we have our seniors, when it comes to accommodation for our seniors, and some seniors, they're in their apartment, and some they are not looking for um, going to the landlords to put the handbars in the bathrooms for them, to convert certain areas in there because they've been there for so long, they have some sort of disability, and then sometimes the landlords, they would not do it because they don't want they don't want to spend the money. So there's a lot that is happening in housing discrimination right now, and we also have the unseen disability that persons with maybe mental health, persons with COVID, persons with cancer. All of those are unseen disabilities. During COVID, a lot of persons who went to the hospital, when they came back home, the apartment was gone. They didn't allow them back into the building, and even that there were persons, they were quarantined in the apartment, and they refused anyone to come in to taking the medication, and our seniors were not getting the meals, and there was a lot of, if they needed repairs, they didn't have heat or whatever it was, they would have been discriminated against because that they had COVID. So we are looking at the unseen discrimination in housing, and we are looking at the other discriminations when it comes to employment, when it comes to children, when it comes to your nationality, when it comes to especially immigration status. If you're going to get an apartment, no one should ask you. Getting the job, you're getting an apartment, no one should be asking you about your immigration status. And if anyone asks someone about the immigration status, they're supposed to report that to us. Definitely, they should not be asking them. And sometimes those persons who are already in the apartment, and then things are happening, they are afraid to come out. They're afraid to come to us. They're afraid to complain. They're afraid to call for help because they think that they will be retaliated against. They think that they'll call ICE, and they do threaten them and said, hey, I'm going to call ICE. And if you're experiencing any persons in the community, the persons that you're working with in the community, and they're coming to you, they're complaining, and because of the immigration status, they're afraid to go out. They're afraid to go to the police and report. They're afraid to go to any agency, city agencies, housing, or any HPD or ourselves who can help them because they're afraid of retaliation. Please let them know that they should not be afraid because we are there to help them. All the services we have, anyone who comes to our office, so our main office is at 22 Reed Street in Manhattan. And in each of the boroughs, we have a satellite office. My office is downtown Brooklyn. I'm at 25 Chapel Street. And they could come in, we're taking walk-ins. They could come in and they're experiencing any issues whatsoever. They could come to our office. We will sit, we will talk to them. And based on the information that is given to us and we say that, okay, we are in the scope of discrimination and there's discrimination happening with the complaint that the person would have brought to our office, then we refer them to LABID, which is the Law Enforcement Bureau in Manhattan, right? So when they do go there, then they will take it from there. So there are over 20-something attorneys there. So they have the lawful source of income, which we will deal, the attorneys who deal with the vouchers. Then we have the attorneys who deal with just the housing discrimination of itself, whatever that they are going through. So we have those attorneys then who will assist the said person. And all the services are free. Please let me know when my time is up. All the services that we are offering, they're free, and then you don't have to worry. The only thing that a lot of persons expect, well, everything will go, in a month time, and the investigation do take time. And most times, when we do file a claim over against a landlord, it usually, it's a little bit shorter because they don't want their names to be out there. They don't want to be dragging. They don't want to spend time going to court or coming back and forth. So we have the mediation division where they sit and then they will and discuss, okay, this is what it is, this is what we would like you to pay. I never sat at the table with them, so I don't have 100% as to how they come to the understanding, but then they would meet with our mediators at the head office, and then they will take it from there. But we want persons to know that we are there. Anyone whatsoever, I know many of you are here from different organizations, and you have different persons that you interact with. So any persons you know, and some of you I know already have my information. Yeah, I will put my information in the system, in the chat. So just let them reach out to me if whatever, because some persons, they are going through stuff and they don't understand, they don't really know that I'm being discriminated against. I work in the New York City for 20-something years for agencies. I was discriminated against for 17 years, and I didn't know until I came to work for New York City Commission on Human Rights. And then I was like, wow, you mean for 17 years I was being discriminated against? I didn't know. So a lot of us, and you know what it is? It is to tell you, if it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. So if you feel that something is wrong, somebody is saying something to you that is wrong, you feel uncomfortable with what they're saying to you, feel uncomfortable with your surroundings, and come to us, call, ask a question. The next time when I do have a chance to do a presentation, I will be dealing with employment, because it's very bad in employment as well. But today, the main focus is when it comes to discrimination in housing. So anyone, it doesn't matter what it is, and let persons know, regardless of your immigration status. Once immigration status, they should not hold back. They should come to us. If they threaten you, or if you do talk, that person do talk, they complain, and they retaliate against them, then we will take care of it. And then ICE would not come to them, because it have happened before. Persons try to retaliate, they call ICE, and they never showed up, because they know, they understand what's happening. Any questions before? You're muted.
Yes, anyone has any questions, Ms. Francisco?
I have one. Do you know, because I can't remember the names, but aren't there programs or organized groups that I guess receive the reports to document these landlords that are discriminating people? Do you know the name of those programs or organizations?
I know that a lot of persons who are having issues, and they do go to them as Housing Court Answers, and they may have other organizations as well. But Housing Court Answers is one of the main organization who works with persons when it comes to landlords and discrimination in housing. So they are right there on Livingston Street. Anyone can Google Housing Court Answers. So they're there from Monday to Thursday at the courthouse. They would assign an attorney to you. And then on Fridays, they are in the office. So if someone need to go to the office, I did not put my number with me, because I do have the information. So if anyone wants the information, you can connect me, and I will give you the information. But they're the main persons that you can go to, who do the recording, and then they will do all the investigation and help persons, help them with housing, and help them into keeping their place as well.
Yeah, just if I can, if you don't mind, Ms. Leopold, just to answer Cindy's question regarding, I'm not aware of a list regarding discrimination specifically, so that I'll have to get back to you. But there is the ever popular worst landlord list. I haven't seen discrimination included, because they usually include like working conditions, whether or not people get enough heat, so forth and so forth. But I haven't seen discrimination under the worst landlords list. I also want to add, but there are also other not-for-profits, and you can check with Neighborhood Housing Service for any referrals that actually conduct testing. So if anyone probably suspects that they've been discriminated, regarding either renting or even home ownership, because that's also pervasive too. There are organizations also help do testing to try to build a case, against either the landlord or the home seller.
Yes, definitely. And even when we look at Tyron just mentioned, with home buying as well, and then we also have programs also uneducated person, even when you go to the bank to purchase a house, you know, and most times because of your your origin, you know, they will not you know, give you a loan. Sometimes you have everything, you know, but because of, you know, I don't want to go further into it, but they won't they would not. So we also have if anyone is facing anything and they feel that they go to the lenders and they want to purchase a house and they feel that they've been discriminated against, they can also come to us as well. And as Tyron rightfully said, there are quite a few organizations, and then we even have legal aid as well, you know, who helps persons as well. Ms. Boxell?
Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was
Yes,
gonna let you.
sorry, I'm so sorry for the camera being off. I haven't eaten lunch. So I'm so happy that you brought this up. Do you deal with supportive housing services that implement housing?
Maybe can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Okay, so HUD funds supportive housing such as they call it Section 8 housings. So basically a sort of a supportive house program is basically a program that either they accept homelessness, mental health, and if you have a diagnosis. So that's why I asked, do you also assist with those type and LGBT?
Yes.
Those
Yes.
communities
Yes.
also from certain discrimination. And if you
Yes.
do you deal with mental?
Yes, we do. As I said earlier, that mental health, COVID, and any unseen disability is covered. So if anyone is being discriminated because of their mental health, because they had COVID or any other ailment, cancer or the other ailment, and they were being discriminated against, that they would come to us, and we will look into it as well.
Thank
It
you.
will be
And then
investigated as
also,
well.
have you ever helped any families that had a landlord do hardship unprofessionally?
When you said due hardship, because when we look at due hardship with landlords, so sometimes if we are asking for
I don't want to, I know we're on camera live, so excuse my language, world, like personal intended, intention, meaning it's hard to really not explain
but
it
you see,
without putting
okay,
people's
so Miss
business.
Boxfield, what I will because a lot of persons when
Yeah.
they do come online and they don't really want to, you know, ask certain questions in public, I would rather them they call me, and then
Okay,
so we
yes.
can talk about it, you know, in
Yes.
private. So you're more
Are you gonna
free
put your
to
information
explain.
in the
Yes,
chat? Okay,
yes,
great.
yes,
Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. You're very welcome. And I just want to say just some comment on this, pull away from that a little bit. I just want to congratulate the persons who put on the breast cancer awareness program at Pierre Toussaint. I was there. It was excellent. It was excellent. The moderator, Chief Sassy and good. She did a great job in, you know, asking her questions. I'm very, very happy with the program. It is a well put program. So congratulations to the persons who put the program together.
Yeah,
So
we'll
if
definitely share that message. Lamecca led the planning with One Brook of Health and Share. So we'll definitely share that message with her when she returns. So thank you for that. I have one more question. Do you know the timeline? It looks like, you know, reporting the discrimination and getting assistance, because sometimes these landlords, you know, retaliate and want to take someone to court. And because sometimes people are so used to the hustle or the life that I've seen them just up and move because they put a notice on the door and say you got 10 days. So
yeah.
what does that look like where they would get that support in a timely manner?
So when two things. When it comes, as I said, usually the investigation takes a little time. Sometimes, like I would lie to you, sometimes it takes up to a year. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's more based on the situation. No one should leave their homes because a landlord come to them and ask them to leave. Yes, person say, well, it's my home, or well, it's her home, and it is my property, and I could ask them. But at the end of the day, it is a property where you advertised, and it becomes our business because there's an advertisement out there. If one rent their place and it's just word of mouth, and they just bring in someone, and it's a private entity, private home, and we don't go after them, we will investigate. But then there are certain parameters that we'll go to. But anyone who would have advertised that they have a home for rent, then yes, we have to investigate whatever it is happening. You should not leave the place. They cannot come to you verbally and ask you to leave. That's one thing. Don't move. Then they should go to the courts. They want you to leave. They should get an eviction notice, file an eviction notice, and present you, serve you. But persons have to be very careful also, because persons have come to me and then a notice of eviction was served to them and it was not legit. Persons can go online and you can download anything you want online these days. But then that notice of eviction should have a docket number at the top right corner. It should have a signature from the judge or whoever in the court, and it should have a number from the court. It has to have a stamp. It has to be official. When they serve you, when you look and there is no stamp, an official stamp, then it's not legit, because sometimes persons work with their attorneys, or if they themselves, they go online and they can download any document that they want and come and serve you. But no one can just come and put, if the only time you have to pay attention to a notice on your door, it's a notice from the marshal. The marshal come and then they put, because there are persons who are just they're not really paying heed and say, well, I'm not leaving, I didn't get a place yet, and then they keep going. And I have a friend of mine, they just did that. She's been going back and forth, and she said, hey, the rents are so expensive, I can't find a place. And then the marshal came and put a notice on her door. So that you have to take into consideration. But if someone get up tomorrow morning and they find a handwritten letter or typewritten letter stick up on the door, take it down to the courts and let them know this is what's happening. And anyone, I think someone did ask about retaliation. Anyone who retaliate against you, you're afraid of retaliation, please, you go to the police, you go to the courts, you let us know. You let us know anyone who retaliates. As long as you're being discriminated against, you have a right. You have a right to seek help. You have a right to call for help. You have a right to go out there to represent yourself. Because landlords, they do know the law, but they're just doing their own thing. So persons have to stand up. If you come to us, the person come to us and then they file a claim with us while the investigation is going on, and that landlord start harassing them, they have to call us and complain, and then we will file against them as well. So persons should not run because they ask you to leave, or just because you just see a piece of paper written on your door. It has to be official and from the courts.
Yeah, Ms. Leopold, as a follow-up question, is there statute of limitations in order to file a complaint with the New York City Commission on Human Rights?
Yes, 1 year. So for city, because as most of you would know, there is the City New York Commission on Human Rights, and there is the State Commission on Human Rights. So if the state, you could go up to 3 years, and if that person, so we have a year, so the statute of limitation, we first is a year. So after the year, and then you're like, okay, I think, I really want to file. You can file a case with the civil court. You can go to the courts and file a case with the courts, or else you can go to the state human rights office, which is in Manhattan. But we first is 1 year. I think Miss Lopez have her hands up. I'm sorry, Miss Adeline, I'm taking your job from you, right?
Hi, Francisca. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good. Quick question, Francisca. When sending you a referral, and if the person needs reasonable accommodations, do we need to let you know ahead of time the type of accommodations, such as sign language interpretation, if the person?
Yes. So if that person need sign, yes. So because we will have to put in for that. Yeah. Somebody have to come to the office. Yes.
Okay, and referrals could be sent to you directly.
Yes, referrals could be sent. And then because also when it comes to language, also if someone the person when it comes to language, it doesn't matter because we have the hotline. We can just call someone, the operator, right away, and they will just come in. But then if it's someone need sign language, then we will have to know in advance.
Perfect. So when we send, like if I was to send you a referral, I will indicate what the person needs and send it to you directly.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Francisca.
Yeah, but you could let me know, and if I think because I wouldn't want the person to be coming back and forth. So in a case like that, I will just talk to the person from InfoLine at our head office, and then I will just let the person go to straight instead of coming here and then having to go back there again.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as I said, just be mindful, pay attention, talk to your the persons that your organizations, your community, pass it on, and just let them know to reach out to us, because it amazes me from how I'm been working with the commission in 2016, and when I go out there and I'm doing resource fairs or I do presentation, the amount of persons who said, "I've never heard of the commission." And I'm like, really, you've never heard of, and it amazes me because the service is there. We are here to help people, and persons don't know. So just, pass it on. And we, our website, I will put also our website. We have one pages on our website as well. So you can go to our website and you can download it, and pass on information. And then one thing before I go, I just want to say also, last year we had, it's not on housing, more on employment, but I always like to share it. We had the domestic workers law that was passed. And that law, it covers anyone, regardless of the immigration status. It covers anyone under New York City law when it comes to domestic workers. So, and domestic workers, anyone who's working in a home setting other than the home, they're taking care of a baby, they're taking care of an elderly companion, whatever that they are doing, that they are protected. And I made it my business to go to a lot of the parks to meet up with nannies and give them the brochure so they know what their rights are, because a lot of persons, many of us would know who are coming from outside, when they come in because of the immigration status, that the first thing that they pick up, taking care of a baby, taking care of an elderly person. And because persons know this situation, they take advantage of them. So some persons, they will let them work for 10 hours, and just pay them for 7 hours. So they were just taking advantage on them. And some nannies came to me and say, we have nannies who died. We have nannies who lost their babies. We have nannies who went to the hospital, they had surgery, and they had to go, as soon as they were discharged from the hospital, they have to go right back to work, and they would threaten them and say, "I'll call ICE for you." So it's just like, it is heartbreaking when you hear of stories out there that persons have been going through, domestic workers. So we have the law, and then they were so happy, and they said, "Hey, this is my passport," and they were so happy. So over 5 years, and how many years we have been crying, and the Nannies Association and other organizations, they have been pushing and pushing, and long last City Hall passed that law to protect them. So they're supposed, if they're injured on the job, they're supposed to get that time to go home, and they should get paid whilst they are home, right? They're supposed to get paid as well. They're supposed to get time off, holiday pay, and everything. So that is also on our website. So if you have persons in organizations, you can download those one pages and give it to them. But as I'm permitted, because it's a lot that we cover, it's a lot that we have to share. So if I'm permitted, and when you bring me back, the organizers, when you bring me back, then I'll cover, when I cover employment, then I'll go a little bit more deeper, when it comes to domestic workers. Thank you so much. And if you don't have any more questions, anyone don't have any more questions for me, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much. Please share those one pagers you said you have. We would love to share them in the minutes for the meeting with everyone that attended.
I will give you the website, our website.
Okay.
And you can go on the website, because there are a lot on the website that you can go to, and in different languages as well. So they can go on the website and see it. And then when I do come back, whichever area, if you're, I'll do employment. when I do come back, and they would already have some of the information, and we'll be able to have more dialogue, because I don't like to be talking, because I don't really like to hear my voice. So I like us to, talk and have, talk together and share. Because you are out there, a lot of you are out there, and then you are hearing what's happening out there. So I like us to talk and just, and just ask questions, and we learn from each other as we go along. And then also from housing courts, persons have to understand that they have lead paint, they have any broken doors or windows, and the smoke detectors and things like that. They have to call the landlord. The landlord have to take care of that when it comes to the smoke detectors and everything like that. So there is a list from I will share the next time. I don't have it with me, that landlords are responsible for when in their homes when it comes to home repairs. Just one thing that I want to share quickly is that sometimes when they want you out, we had an issue at 2 o'clock in the morning. A pastor called me and he said, "Hey, my parishioners, I have 200 of them, and we have older adults as well. They are sick, and they're in their homes, and they put holes behind the stove, and they cannot use the stove because they want them out. So they're just doing things to push them out." So all of those things comes to play, and then we have to be very mindful. We have to look, and then we have to report those issues, because they do a lot of things in housing to push people, because especially if they're rent stabilized apartments and they want the market price, the market rate, they try to push you out. Thank you again.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our next speaker. Just 1 second, is sharing the screen again.
In the meantime, Francisca, you could definitely drop your website in the chat, because I know everyone is looking forward for it too.
Okay, thank you so much for that good information. Wow. Now I have the pleasure of presenting our next speaker, who is Kim Mayo. She's the Assistant Vice President of Community Services with Preventative Services Programs. Ms. Mayo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me come and talk about our programs. I am actually, the programs that I'm going to talk about are under JCCA, which is the same program that sponsors the community partnership, but we work in another division, but we work closely together. So my name is Kim Mayo, and I am the Assistant Vice President over Community Services at JCCA. And Community Services at JCCA encompasses a whole host of services, and we call them community services because all of the children that we serve, they live at home with their parents. You know, JCCA has a large foster care population that we provide services to, but the Division of Community Services are services families who children live at home with them. And when I say children live at home, sometimes it's a grandma caring for her grandkids, sometimes it's an auntie caring for her nieces and nephews, sometimes a single dad, sometimes it's a single mom, or sometimes it's a mom and dad working together to raise their children. And our focus in our community service programs is to strengthen and stabilize the families that we serve, and to work collaboratively with them around what their service needs are things that they would like us to assist them with. We have programs that are funded through the Administrators of Children's Services, and those programs are what we call preventive programs. And that is the arm of ACS that is really working to support families and children who live at home in order to prevent foster care placement or even contact with ACS. You know, there's a big push in child welfare that there are services out there for families who need them. And instead of, maybe the school calling in a report, maybe making a referral to a program that can support this family with whatever they're struggling with, or a hospital or a doctor calling a report. They really want they want those agencies to call preventive services so that we can maybe provide services to families before they wind up with, involvement with child welfare. JCCA has several preventive programs in Brooklyn. They are, we service children 0 to 18. Some programs service younger children, some service all children, but we're able to service children 0 to 5. 0 to 18. I keep saying 0 to 5 because we have a program that serves 0 to 5. But, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the different programs, but I also would get to give you an overview of what preventive service is. Preventive services is a service that really focuses on strengthening families, helping them address whatever the concerns may be. Sometimes they are struggling with parenting. Sometimes they are struggling with maybe an adolescent who's beginning to act out. Sometimes they're struggling with housing issues. Sometimes they're struggling with, other issues in the community. They could be struggling with case management issues, or maybe the family is going through a hard time because of, some things that are going on in the family, and they could benefit from some counseling. So preventive services, the wonderful thing about this is that we're able to help families and meet them where they are and service them and provide services to them for a whole host of reasons. And, our programs really focus on, families driving their services. They, parents are the experts of their children. They are the experts of their families. They know what their family needs. And we really try to work collaborative with families to help them come up with a plan to address whatever the issues that they are struggling with. Because we know that oftentimes when families are struggling, maybe they're struggling with something very concrete, such as housing, that oftentimes those housing issues spill over onto other things, because if you're spending all of your time trying to keep a roof over your head, keep a roof over your children's head, keeping them out the shelter, we understand that maybe sometimes, you might lose your patience with your children, or maybe you're not as up on some things that you normally would do, but this is taking up all of your time. And so we want to meet families where they are. We have no preconceived notions about families. We know that families, it is an opportunity for us to strengthen the help the family strengthen what's going on and what's going well in their families. And we really look at families in terms of a strength base, not what's wrong with this family, but maybe what is this family going through? What is happening with this family that maybe, things aren't going as well as they were going before. So we really don't look at families as there's something wrong with them. We feel like we look at them as maybe they're struggling with something. Same thing with children. Sometimes children are acting out. Maybe they're having some behavioral issues. It's not like, oh, this kid is a bad kid, but maybe this youngster is struggling with some things. Maybe, the family did move to a shelter and they had to leave their friends behind. They had to change schools. They don't get to see dad as much as they used to, because now dad lives in the Bronx and mom and the kids are living in Brooklyn. We know that families, when they are struggling with things, their children are struggling. We know that if parents are going through things, their children are going through things. And we're just really here to strengthen the family, and help support them in any way we can. We provide counseling. It is usually weekly or bi-weekly, whatever the family likes. Our services are all in the home, so parents don't have to trape the children to the offices. We come to you. Some parents like that. Some parents don't. But the goal is to remove whatever barriers that might be preventing the family from benefiting from services. Some of our programs are short-term and some of our programs are long-term, but on average, they're 6 to 12 months. But, families don't have to stay 6 months or 12 months. Really, when we open a case, we sit down with the family, we talk about service goals, what do they want to accomplish, what the issues that they need help with, and we come up with a plan. And sometimes families, after 4, 5, 6 months, things are better. And it's time to say goodbye. And then sometimes families do stay with us for 12 months. And sometimes families, stay with us a little bit longer for 12 months. That's okay. Families get to drive these services. JCCA currently has 3 preventive programs. The first one is called Child Parent Psychotherapy, and it is a program for children 0 to 5. And it is for children 0 to 5 and their caregivers who may have experienced some sort of trauma. So some of the cases we get are families who maybe the child was in foster care and now the child is returned, and we're going to help mom learn how to bond with her child and sort of like develop that relationship, because we know that there's been a split in that parent-child relationship when that child was in foster care. Or sometimes, the parents are separated and now the child is struggling with maybe not seeing daddy all the time. Or, we get a lot of families that may have gone through some sort of trauma, where maybe domestic violence, homelessness. We consider all of that trauma, because little people can't make sense of that. They don't understand, why things are different. They used to be one way, but now they're this way. And we really sort of help the parent and child, sort of bond over what's going on and, helping the parent increase their understanding of maybe why the child is now acting out and throwing more tantrums, and is getting in trouble at school and is hitting and kicking and maybe fighting with their siblings, because little people experience trauma just like we do. They just can't say, I'm mad, I'm upset, I don't like this, I feel this, I feel that. They can't say that. What do? They pick on their siblings, they tantrum, they cry excessively, they act out at daycare, they start pushing and shoving other kids at school, and that's how they're trying to express what's going on with them. And so this program really works with parents who have young children who maybe have experienced trauma. Some of the traumas we've had situations where maybe, there was the death of a sibling, or maybe grandma who used to be a regular caretaker of that child. Maybe grandma died, and this child has to figure out how to make sense that that person is no longer there. And then sometimes we have parents who are struggling with their own trauma. They have their own trauma history, and maybe it's impacting or interfering with them being the best mom or dad that they can be. And so we work with the parents around that to really help them, work their own trauma so that they can be more present for their children. And so that's the Child Parent Psychotherapy Program. It's a wonderful program. We basically engage the parent and the child in what we call dyadic play therapy sessions, because we know children express their feelings through play. They cannot verbalize, I am so sorry. I'm in an office where if you don't move after a while, the lights go off. So I got to remember to move my arms occasionally. So we know that sometimes children really can't express how they're feeling. And we sort of work with the parent and child in what we call dyadic play therapy, where we ask the parent to sit on the floor with the child and let the child play out their feelings, because we know children do not express their feelings verbally, especially children 0 to 5. They play about it and they play it out. And sometimes we see in the play that the child is scared. So they're not going to play that, scared, but basically they play that the monster comes and eats everybody in the family. Or, sometimes we have kids who have had their own trauma, whether it's sexual abuse, physical trauma, and every time the monster comes, the little boy gets eaten. And that's because the child is that little boy and he's trying to tell you how he feels. So that's our Child Parent Psychotherapy Program. It's a wonderful program. It's usually 6 to 12 months. It's home-based. We come to the home. We provide the therapy in the home. The therapist would come to the home with a bag of toys, and they would meet with the parents and the mom and the child, and they'd sit around and they'd let the child play and tell a story through play. And the therapist is going to, help mom understand maybe what the child is playing, and then how to respond in a way that that child feels comforted. Because we know children do not do well without their parents. Children are not going to do well with their parents. The therapist may come 1 hour a week, but it is really that parent who is going to help that child heal, help that child make sense of the world and what's going on differently. And so we really spend a lot of time trying to coach the parent so that they can, respond to the child. Because sometimes what the child is doing is very triggering for the parents. We had one little girl, I remember she would wake up screaming. She had experienced a big trauma. And she would wake up every night about 1 o'clock in the morning screaming from nightmares. Mom was trying to comfort her, but mom had to go to work the next day and she'd be up 2-3 hours trying to get that child back to sleep. So we understand that what the child is going through, the parent is going through, and vice versa. What the parent is going through, the child is going through. So that's Child Parent Psychotherapy. The other program that we have is called Helping Hands for Families. And it's what we call an intensive program. And it works with families who have a history, either themselves or their children, of substance abuse or mental health. We get a lot of referrals where adolescents are using, maybe they were using marijuana and now there's concerns about them using other things, or maybe the child is having some mental health issues, he's skipping school, or sometimes parents are struggling with their mental health or their own addiction. And we really work with that parent to support them to work on their, sobriety issues or their mental health issues, because as we know, what is going on with the parent affects the child, and what is going on with the child is going to affect the parent. And so that program really works to stabilize the family, maybe get them in treatment if that's what they need, or sometimes we're just monitoring the treatment or supporting them The therapists in all of our programs are master level social workers, so they can provide actually clinical services. And, we really help families come up with goals for themselves. I know there's in New York City, you're allowed to smoke marijuana, and that's fine. But some of our parents or some of our kids, it's interfering with their daily life. And that's when it's a problem. And we really try to support families around addressing anything that is going on that is either interfering with their daily functioning, their children's functioning, or the functioning of the parent. And so, a lot of times when we're working with families who have substance abuse and mental health issues, there's a stigma to that. There's something wrong with these families. There's nothing wrong with these families. The families are struggling. And we all know that sometimes we don't have the best coping mechanisms, and we really see substance use or as a family struggling or a person struggling with, sort of coping mechanisms. And the program really is to help families, address what's going on and also help them develop better coping systems. And that's our FTR program. It is an intensive program. We start out with 5 to 6 visits a month, and then as the family stabilize, we decrease. And then as the family is ready to end their case, we're in services, what we move down to 2. So it's a very intensive program. But I also think that oftentimes families who are struggling with some of these issues, they need that intensity. They need someone who's going to check in on with them on, maybe once or twice a week, who's going to go with them to maybe to the substance abuse program or go to the school or go to the mental health, really provide that sort of support, that hands-on in the beginning. And then as families are doing better, as we see that families are, more stabilized, we decrease those number of sessions. And then the other program is that we have, it's called solution-based casework. And you guys are going to get a flyer with all of our programs. So please don't feel like you have to remember all of them. But solution-based casework is basically a program. It's our lowest intensity program. So we have very high, medium, and then low. And that program works with families 0 to 18, and they don't have to have any special issues. They can just be dealing with general stuff, such as kids truancy, or maybe there's conflict among the children and they're constantly fighting, or mom is feeling very overwhelmed, or dad is feeling very overwhelmed, or they're having school issues or housing issues. And we're really there to support the family with whatever. The workers use a model called solution-based casework, where they really bring to the family, what's really going on with you guys? What can I help you with? How can I help you? And they sort of also, again, this is a program where the family sets the goals. Sometimes we get a referral. Let's just say we get a referral from school, and the referral says, Johnny's acting out. His mother doesn't care. I call her all the time and nothing's getting better. Maybe there's a whole lot of stuff going on with Johnny and the family. Maybe they just moved to a shelter. Maybe they're about to lose their housing. Maybe dad is out of work. Maybe mom is working 3 jobs, but the school doesn't see that. And so we'll say to the family, what is going on with you? How can we help you? What are some of the things? What are your priorities? Because the school might be like, the priorities that Johnny needs to start doing his homework. He needs to start doing this. But maybe that's not the priority of the family. Maybe the priority of the family is dad needs, help finding a job. He needs some resources. Maybe mom is very overwhelmed, and not only does she have Johnny, but she has 4 other little kids at home, and she's really struggling with daily, getting these kids up, getting to school, getting herself to work, coming home, cooking dinner. Maybe that's her priority. And maybe not that she doesn't care that Johnny's not doing his homework, but of all the 20 things she has to do, maybe Johnny kind of gets lost in the middle. Not that she doesn't care. Not that the parents don't care, but there's so much stuff going on. And we sort of say to families, because we know if families are struggling with concrete needs, housing, food insecurity, homelessness, joblessness, that sometimes they can't put all their focus on maybe the children. Not that they don't care, but they're trying to make sure that these kids have the basic needs. And we understand that. And our job is to help families. I will be honest, we can't find apartments, but we can provide things like advocacy, referrals. We communicate with landlords. If families are in the eviction process, we can support them through that process. We can help families apply for benefits, one-shot deals, you know, those kind of things. I don't want, you know, one thing I always say, you know, the lottery system, helping them understand the New York City lottery system under HUD and setting up an application or program. Or sometimes we have families who need more support. So we might have a family where we're helping them apply for maybe supportive housing. So we don't have apartments. I want to be clear about that, but there's a lot of things we can do to support families around housing concrete needs. You know, maybe Johnny needs to be referred to an after school program. Maybe he needs tutoring. Maybe we need to help mom, you know, find a place where he can go after school and get some tutoring help or some, you know, some help, you know. And many of our families don't know resources, you know, or they're very shy to go and ask. Or maybe we need to help mom and dad have a conversation with the school. How can the school support Johnny more? Because, you know, sometimes they just want to give the parents the complaint and fix this, but they're not helping the family come up with some solutions to fix, you know, to address some of these issues. So those are some of the programs that we have. Our solution-based program, it is 6 to 12 months. But as I say, families come, they stay as long as they need. And, you know, when they're ready to move and the issues are resolved, their cases are closed. We also have some other programs that are not child welfare programs or preventive programs, but we have a wonderful program called Second Chances. I know I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry, but I want to get it all out. We have a wonderful program called Second Chances, and it really is a program that is funded by the City Council, and our goal is to help children who have maybe are, you know, have some kind of involvement with juvenile justice. So sometimes we have kids who are on probation, or they have an alternative to incarceration sentence, and we get those referrals where kids come in. They might get short-term counseling. They might join one of our groups, and they're really understanding, like, maybe some of the, you know, some of the things that they're doing in the community that are putting them at risk. Or sometimes we have kids who they haven't been arrested yet, but you know they're on the wrong path, you know. And we are able to provide short-term counseling. We have groups for them, and it really is to help them develop their social skills and maybe, you know, some other avenues so that they're not sort of in the street doing things that are going to get them in trouble. Because, you know, some of our kids, sometimes they're just bystanders and they wind up in trouble. Sometimes they're followers, you know, and so that program really works with children or adolescents that are on, you know, the risk of being involved in juvenile justice. And then our last program we have is Brooklyn Families Together. And it is a short-term family therapy program that provides short-term family therapy to adolescents, children 11 to 17, and their families. This program is also in home-based. It's, when I say short-term, it's usually 3 to 5 months, according to how, you know, how often the family meets with us. We ask them to meet with us weekly. And in that program, we work with really children and parents who are just having communication issues. You know, oftentimes, when we meet with families, the adolescent will say, "Mom doesn't trust me. She doesn't listen. She's always on my back." And mom says, or dad says, "This kid doesn't listen. He never follows the rules. He's doing things that he knows he's not supposed to be doing." And, you know, we're in this program, we're not there to sort of fix the problems, but we're there to help the family learn to communicate. Because we also know that oftentimes children are doing things outside because they don't feel, you know, heard at home. They don't feel that parents are listening. They don't feel that parents care. And parents say things like, "He thinks he's grown. He wants to be a big man." And, you know, like that's parents say. And we really, in that family therapy program, we really work to help the family learn to communicate. I always tell this story whenever I present. I had a worker once where she has the family sitting there, mom, dad, the 2 kids are sitting there, and nobody is saying a word to each other. Everybody's on their phone, mom, dad, the kids. So she pulls out her phone and she texts all of them. And she's like, "What's going on?" And she begins to have the communication through the text because she realized this family is not a family that's going to sit around the kitchen table and talk to each other. And she really started using that phone and bringing it in. And then she was like getting the kids to text mom. And then one of the skills, like she gives them homework. And so the homework she gave them for every day during the week, mom is going to text one of the children and dad is going to text one of the children. And, you know, we don't think about stuff like that. They live in the same house. Why can't they talk to each other? but that's not what they do. And so she, this program is not trying to change a family, but maybe using some of the things that they are comfortable with to kind of open up communication. And by the end, this family was able to not sit around the table, have dinner, but they were able to talk more to each other. And so the texting went to, well, can you check in with Johnny every day when he comes from school? Not like, what did you do? Grill. How was your day? Is there anything that, happened that you want to tell me about? Because those are very different messages than where you been, what you been doing. I told you not to stay out late. Why you're so late? Like really helping parents how to talk to their children, because how we talk to our 5-6-year-old is not the same way that we talk to our teenagers. And also helping the children learn how to maybe volunteer a little bit more information, because parents, all they want is the best for their children. And we know that, every parent loves their child. Every parent wants a successful, bright future for their child. Maybe sometimes the parent and the child don't know how to communicate. And so this program really works on communication. So those are our programs here. I want to say this, every last one of those programs that I mentioned, they're absolutely free. We do not bill insurance. Parents don't have to be insurance. You don't have to be documented. All of these programs are free. And that's the one thing about, the community service programs at JCCA. They don't charge, they don't bill insurance. And that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful, because we have families who maybe can't, they don't have insurance, or, maybe they are undocumented. Maybe the children are documented, but the parents are not. So the great thing about this is that all of these services that we offer are free, and we can offer them to any family. So, any questions?
I may have missed this, but is it open to everyone, no matter where you live?
So all of these programs serve Brooklyn. Yeah, they serve Brooklyn. Sometimes we get a referral where the family might live in Queens. They may not be able to go to our program, but we could always provide information about a similar program, because preventive programs, the first 3 programs that I talked about, these programs are throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. They're funded by the Administration for Children's Services. And I know sometimes when people hear that word, they're like, oh my gosh, but ACS is trying to change your image. They're really trying to show that they are there to support families. They've always been there to support families. But I also think that, they are in the business of child protection too. But, a lot of times people don't know that they have this other arm called preventive services. And those programs, and there are tons of them, there's probably like 75 throughout the 5 boroughs. And those programs are really focused on stabilizing families, helping families where kids live in the community, and, preventing an ACS call, or preventing these children from entering foster care. And that's why they call it preventive services, because they're really focused on stabilizing families and preventing children from entering foster care. Any other questions?
Do any of the programs that you mentioned have a wait list right now?
The first 3 programs I mentioned do not have a waiting list. The Brooklyn Families Together, which is the family therapy program, is short term. They have a short waiting list, so maybe a month.
And you mentioned some age limits. What assistance do you provide after, if that 18-year-old still needs some assistance when they turn 19?
So it is according to, sometimes we are able to continue working with a family if the child turns 18. So let's say, for example, mom has a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old. The 17-year-old who, is struggling with some things, maybe the 17-year-old turned 18, but mom still has 2 other children that are minor children. We can continue servicing that family. And as long as that 18-year-old is interested in continuing to participate in the services, we can continue servicing that family. But let's say it's a family and mom only has a 17-year-old, that child turns 18. In most scenarios, unless that child was in foster care previously, in terms of the preventive program, we wouldn't be able to service them. But, we always want to make sure when we close the case, we want to make sure if a family has a need, and even though maybe they don't need our service anymore, if they have another need, we will connect them to that service. And that's one of our mandates, that every family that leaves, we have to have it's called a service termination conference. And we sit down and we talk to the family and we say, so you guys came for this, how are things going? What's going well? Do you still need anything? You know, if, you know, sometimes families say, you know, we're good, we don't want any services, or maybe they need something, our job is to connect them to that next service. So we never leave a family that needs something else. We don't ever close out their case before we connect them to that next service. Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there a income limit or income guidelines?
Nope.
Or is open to all?
It's open to all. There is no income guidelines.
Thank you.
So I know you said that there's no limitation on immigration status or income,
Yes.
but you need to live in Brooklyn. So what does that referral process look like, or the application?
So basically the referral process is, do you have the pamphlet? Are you going to send the pamphlet out?
We can.
Okay, so if you send the pamphlet, I can put my information here, but each of these programs, there is a contact person listed. We have a general sort of administrative assistant who can take, you know, if someone calls, you know, there's her number is at the top. And if you call, but you can always call me. I'm the AVP, so I'm over all of these programs. You can reach out to me. I can put my email address and my phone number in here. So if you have a family, you think, you know, sometimes we have families where they're not so sure, they're thinking about it, they want to know more about the program. We can do that too. And the intake process is you call one of us, we take down the basic information. We would decide, you know, which program it would fit best. Some families say things like, well, I want FFT, but their children are 0 to 5, and maybe there's some trauma going on with the little one. We might say, well, maybe, you know, this might be a good program. Would you like to hear more about it? So it's never, you can't have this program, but we really want to make sure that the program that the family is in is the best fit for them. And then what happens is the case is assigned to a social worker who will come out and meet with the family and tell them, you know, give them a little bit more information, detailed information about the program, and you know, answer any questions. And if the family decides they want to proceed with services, we sign them up. We have them sign an application. I will tell you, there are probably quite a bit of paperwork they have to sign. They have to sign consent for treatment. We do things like assessments to kind of see if they have any other social service needs that we can assist with. There's some screenings we do just to make sure that, you know, we do a home safety check, because as your presenter said before, sometimes landlords are doing things that are trying to drive out clients, you know, drive out their tenants. We do a home safety assessment, and anything that a family identifies, we're going to try to support them around. You know, sometimes we come for A, but a family needs B, and we're going to help them with A and B, you know, because our feeling is that if you're struggling with homelessness, if you're struggling with food insecurity, if you're struggling with, you know, intimate partner violence, all of these things are going to affect how, as a parent, you show up for your children. And if your children are showing, you know, struggling with things, it's going to affect how they maybe behave. And we always say children are not bad. You know, maybe bad things have happened to them. Maybe they're struggling with things. And the same thing with parents. I believe that every parent loves their child. And sometimes they struggle to show up the way they maybe have showed up previously because they're going through things. You know, we have all gone through things in our lives, and we've needed some support, and we want to make sure that families have the support that they need so that, you know, they can be the best versions of themselves. So let me put my information in the chat.
And one more question. I think Lily
Sure.
wrote in the chat, can referrals be sent to you?
Yes. So I'm sorry. I always hit enter after I type my name, and I should not. Kim Mayo, and my email address. I have a 7-letter name. I'm like, I always had extra bubbles left on those standardized tests because I only have 7 letters in my name. And my phone number is 94400. So yes, you can, you know, you can send me the referral, and I would direct it to, you know, the particular program that it would be a best fit, and someone would call. Like I said, someone would call the family, outreach to them, schedule a visit, and then if the family at that point decides to sign up for services, then they would sign up for services, and they would be a client of JCCA. Any other questions?
I was just sharing with you our link to our monthly webinars that you mentioned about the home assessment part.
Okay.
You know, we do education around that. So just in case your staff or any of your programs are interested in getting a training, you know, we're available. And also too, we have these monthly schedules. So you could also share that with your staff and your clients.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
I don't have a question, but I just want to make a comment because I have sat and meetings, presentations before, and then I realized we have this platform has very, very pertinent information that comes through. And I'm just seeing, I'm looking and I'm seeing there are 25 of us here. And I think that more people need to hear, more people need to hear, more people need to hear. And I think that with all the persons represented here today and the organizations, that it would be good if we could have like a forum, like, just have each person, invite their communities, persons to come in and just have a session where persons can ask questions, because and the information that you give is just vital information. A lot of people, just as I said with my agency, a lot of people, they don't know anything concerning Commission on Human Rights, and with your organization is great information. And I know a lot of people out there would love to know of this information and make use of it. And I think I would really be happy if the organization, the persons in charge of this program can look into it, where we can, we can have an inside forum, an indoors forum, and even indoors you can have a forum and still have resources to give out to people. That would be great, because this is vital information and more persons need to hear from, because sometimes persons go to resource fairs and they just pick up the papers and they get home, they put those papers on the side, but if they come and then they hear you talking and they can ask questions, they get a better understanding as to, what the program is all about. Thank you.
Absolutely. I would say if any of you have families or clients who you think, or parents you think that, we could do a presentation to, we definitely would be open to that also.
I think the challenge at times in doing those things is getting the residents out. The speakers could be there, we're there, but it's how we can get the residents out so that they can listen, ask their questions, and then get an answer or some answer. So that's the challenge where we are.
Yeah, you're very right. So I just want to put in there, I'm so sorry I didn't ask for permission to speak, but I'm speaking. I will be, I was asked really from the principal of MS 61 to do monthly presentation with them, and I would love, for Maya, I think it's Kim.
Yes.
I would love for you, I'm going to look for your information and then get in touch with you, because I promise her that I will bring, as I go out and I speak to different persons, anything I know that will be of value to the parents at the schools. And I would really love to invite you to come in to do a presentation, take up one of my space and do a presentation.
I absolutely would love that. That is Huddy, right? Is that Huddy? Is that
no,
Huddy?
it's on Empire, in the corner of Empire, New York.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yes, actually, I would love to. Majority of our programs cover all of Brooklyn. So we actually just, JCCA's offices have just relocated. We're now down on 57 Willoughby Street. And one of the decisions to relocate downtown is that every bus train system comes down here. And we really wanted to make our offices more accessible to the families that we service. Even though many of our programs are home-based, we do have some office-based programs, or sometimes kids come in for a variety of things. And we made a decision to relocate downtown Brooklyn, because before we were out at over by Brooklyn College. But we made a decision to relocate to downtown Brooklyn because we felt that, it was much more accessible to our family. So I definitely would be more than willing to come out and do a presentation at any of the schools.
Yeah, but it's really, it's on Zoom, so it will be,
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim, for all the information that you shared. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
So
And I
we're
put my if you guys have put my contact information. So if you have a family you think might could benefit, you know, if you want to give us their name, or we can reach out to them directly. Or if you would like us, you know, if you have an organization you'd like us to come and do presentations to your clients, we can do that. Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Francisca, could you please reshare the link for the human rights one pagers? When you click on the page, it says we're sorry. Yeah, it says we're sorry or outdated or non-existing page.
Will do. It is I don't know why it would say so though. Okay, I will put in again because it's nyc.gov/human-rights. That's it.
Dash on between human and rights.
Yes, it's nyc.gov/human-rights.
Okay, if you could re-put it in the chat for everyone, so they have the correct link, or yes, thank you. So moving forward, everyone, we appreciate our presenters today, but now the space is open up to the other service providers that's on the call that want to share any updates, upcoming events, or resources that they have. Anyone would like to start?
Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, so again, my name is Charlene Gordon from the New York City Department of Health. I'll be really quick. I put in the chat our monthly schedule of, virtual webinars that we have for the community. It is this month, which is November, and also December, all about different environmental hazards in your home. It'd be great if you click on the link and check our webinars out. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Tyrone McDonald from Neighborhood Housing Services of Brooklyn. Just a few upcoming events that I want to bring to your attention. On Tuesday, November the 21st, at 6 p.m., we're having an Understanding Your Deed, Estate Planning and Scams webinar. A lot of people who are homeowners may not understand their deed as far as joint ownership in common. And also there's been people have been taken advantage of, particularly when people pass away. And heirs get a phone call from an investor or someone who's looking to seize the house. So we're just having a webinar because what we found out is that deeds and estate planning, they do merge. And it's Tuesday, November the 21st at 6 p.m. I will put the flyer in the chat, and it's a webinar. In addition to that, we are having our home buying seminar in the afternoon. That's going to be on November the 28th at 12 p.m. And it's a lunch home buying seminar for all those who just want to get started on the home buying process, learn about grants, down payment assistance, just the whole process itself, home buyer education, building a home buying team, and so forth. That's going to be on Tuesday, November the 28th at 12 p.m. And I will put that in the chat as well. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Janice Yearwood. I'm from Project Echo. I just wanted to come before you guys. I'm seeking some ideas, resources. I have a young lady that I'm working with. I'm the education and employment specialist for Project Echo. So I work out of Tilden and Meyer 11. I have a young lady that is having trouble commuting to and from school because she is the target of gang activity. So I was looking for just resources or ideas that can help me to create a commute plan for her. On our own here, we've just been made aware of this, so we're working on different things we think we can do. But what we're gonna try to work out is possibly seeing if there's anyone that is from Tilden or Meyer 11 that lives in her area. She currently lives in Canarsie. If we can create some partnership or someone that we can find trustworthy that may also have a student in one of those schools that can assist her with the commute back and forth. Seeing if there's anyone closer to the East Flatbush area that maybe if it's a friend of hers, or yeah, maybe a friend, if not a family member, that maybe she can live there throughout the school week, Monday through Friday, and then we just assist her commute home on Friday afternoons, and then back to the friend's home Monday morning. And even trying to, if we need to, fundraising some money for her to take Ubers back and forth home, because currently that is what she is doing. When she has money, she's using Uber to get back and forth to school. However, obviously she's not a working student. So this can get expensive for her. So these are just some ideas that I'm thinking about at the moment, to creatively put together something for her. But if you know of any resources, or if you know of any organization that we can possibly try to reach out to for funds in order to help her commute back and forth, anything you hear of, greatly appreciated. I'll put my information in the chat again. She's a senior as well, so this would be her last year in school. We're going to really try to get her on track. She has missed some assignments, so we want to create like a commute plan and a makeup plan for her so she can finish the year successfully. We're going to also try to work on her post-education, her post-secondary education. Maybe it would be best for her to complete college education, outside of Brooklyn or wherever she desires. But we just want to get her to the finish line in June for right now. So put my information in the chat. If you know of anything, have any ideas, anything creative you think of, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll reach out to see how the partnership can help as well.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any suggestions? I'm at a loss about that one right now, thinking off the top of my head. But I mean, I have a program in mind, but I don't want to misspeak. But does anyone have any suggestions at all? Okay, yeah, that's a challenging one. We're gonna get back to you, okay? Hi, can you put out a referral? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just asking, so you're just looking for referrals for someone who can help case manage with her and problem solve, correct?
Problem solving. So she's part of my caseload. So we're just looking for additional resources. I know this is this may be a unique situation, or maybe not. I think there are a lot of other students that their school attendance is hindered by, potential bullying activity and things like that outside of the school. But this is one that many of the administration are aware of. They're really trying to get her to the finish line. And so we're really trying to help her. And we're trying to be creative. Like, this, like I said, this might be a unique situation for most people. They may not have dare to assist anyone in this way. So, whatever we can come up with, I'm eager to try to try out.
Great. Thanks for sharing. I actually am in communication talking with several organizations with regard to what I have titled diversity sensitivity, and it has something to do with bullying as well. So as I speak to them, I'm just curious. So I'll ask questions and see if I can't get some kind of referrals or something like that. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily from NY Connect. So I'm gonna put my information in the chat. Call me, maybe you could tell me more about the case and see how can we connect you with the services that you are looking for.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Reed, would it be okay if I shared about the program that I'm working with right now?
Please.
Okay, so I work with several, but I'm a borough president appointee to the Community Education Council for District 17. I'm a PTA president in District 16. And what I want to talk to you guys about is the diabetes self-management program that I am a facilitator of. It is a totally free program that is being piloted here in Brooklyn, being brought from the Bronx. Health people, very, very successful program in the Bronx, has brought down the numbers of amputations and diabetes-related illnesses by double-digit percentages. So now we're introducing it here in Brooklyn. We are totally willing to come out to any area that has space for us. It's a 7-week program. It's actually more like a 9-week program, but you take like a 2-week break after the 7 weeks. We teach menu planning, label reading, problem solving, action planning, everything from how meditation and stress mindfulness. We give you a free book on chronic illnesses. It's not just about diabetes. It talks about everything from asthma to HIV. And you get a free meditation CD. You get Metro cards to come and go every week and free snacks. So if anyone is interested in offering this program, I'm more than willing to help facilitate. Or if you are interested or know anyone who's interested in attending the program, we have several workshops going on now. Actually, District 17 at 532 Albany, the district office in its parent room, is just starting a series that I'm starting to facilitate. And this Monday at 10 a.m. will be our first session. So the last session, we do a big celebration and graduation. You get a certificate of completion and you keep getting followed up. So if anyone is interested, if you want to offer it, if you know anyone who might want to attend, or if you want to attend, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the chat. And I look forward to hopefully working with and collaborating with many of my community members here. And just like I said, I'm a PTA president, so I'm looking forward to reaching out to all of you. Hopefully you can present at some of my meetings, and let's get our community strengthened and resourced up. I love this. This is really great. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to share? Going once, going twice. Okay. Gonna continue with the presentation. Oh, share the wrong thing. 1 second. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Oh.
Not yet. It said you started screen sharing.
Sophie's dad, like I know everything that's going on with Sophie's dad.
Something weird. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. Thanks for all those that shared updates. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at East Flatbush Community Partnership. And our next meeting will be, well, not December 28th. We're not meeting in December. We will be having our end of the year celebration. And while speaking on that, we want to ask the group if December 8th will be a good day to have the end of the year celebration, and also what would be a good time to schedule that for everyone. Would the morning or the afternoon would be better for people? We know we usually meet from 3 to 5, but we wanted to open it up to see if we can get more people to participate in an in-person end of the year celebration. Well, we have some food and music and, really just thanking you all for all that you do and just giving some updates about the program as well as we close out the year. So just want to open up the space. Does anybody want to have any input about how December 8th is looking for them? We know there's a lot of end of the year celebrations happen around December, and we just want to know what that date looked like for others.
December 8th is actually a Friday. No thoughts about the 7th in the afternoon?
Unfortunately, it's not available. Our agency has something going on that day.
And if we have it in the afternoon, what time is afternoon would be, you know, a beginning? And I do have something in the morning, but I'm just saying, what's the latest so that we can at least gauge
Well, the
It will
time
be-
our
that,
options we have?
I would say like after 1 o'clock, and ending by 4:30 because the office closes at 5 on Friday. Can anyone provide any input of what that day looks like for them as well?
Okay, I'm available too.
Awesome.
I would just say I'm available too. That's just for me. Anybody else wants to chime in?
I'm available, but I'm wondering about people's work schedules, if they would be able to make that time.
Well, I believe that I know a lot of service providers attend the general meeting. They could attend as part of their job, but I can see that being an issue for our residents. Who probably working during that time, but unfortunately we don't have the space after hours on that Friday.
I understand, yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Gilda. Anybody else? We got 20 people on the call. No one has any input on what December 8th looks like for them?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat, my response in the chat, but it's fine for me, but I prefer late afternoon though.
When you say late afternoon, how late?
Late afternoon, anything after what, 2 o'clock?
Okay.
2 o'clock and onwards.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't looking at the chat. Now I'm seeing more input. Thank you.
Yeah, that's either day works for me.
Okay, thank you so much. We're gonna go with that date. We did think about December 7th, but unfortunately, the agency is having something that day, and the space that we're hoping to use won't be available that day. But I appreciate all of you, that provided input, and we hope that as many people can come out, so we can celebrate the partnership, and just say thank you, for the year that we've had. Well, that's all we have prepared for today with the East Flatbush Community Partnership. We thank all of you for joining us today, and hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Well,
take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Sydney.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank you
great
for
day.
all you do. Thank you.
All righty.
All right.